Hominid reading. Number 1. Sahelanthropus chidensis. Where lived? West Central Africa in Chad. When lived? Sometime between 6 and 7 million years ago. Sahelanthropus chidensis is one of the oldest known species in the human family tree. This species lived sometime between 6 and 7 million years ago in West Central Africa, Chad. Walking upright or standing up may have helped this species survive in diverse habitats, including forests and grasslands. Though we have only cranial material from Sahelanthropus, studies so far show this species had a combination of ape-like and human-like features. Ape-like features included a small brain, sloping face, very prominent brow ridges, and longer skull. Human-like features included small canine teeth, a short middle part of the face, and a spinal cord opening underneath the skull. The year of discovery was 2001. Diet, habits, and skills. Unfortunately, most of Sahelanthropus' teeth are heavily worn, and there have not yet been studies of its tooth wear or tooth isotopes to indicate diet. However, we can infer based on its environment and other early human species that it ate a mainly plant-based diet. This probably included leaves, fruit, seeds, roots, nuts, and insects. Number 2. Australopithecus afarensis. Where lived? Eastern Africa in Ethiopia, Kenya, and Tanzania. When lived? Between 2.95 and 3.85 million years ago. Australopithecus afarensis is one of the longest lived and best known early human species. Paleoanthropologists have uncovered remains from more than 300 individuals. Found between 2 and 3 million years ago in eastern Africa, Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, this species survived for more than 900,000 years, which is over 4 times as long as our own species has been around. They have both ape and human characteristics. Members of this species had ape-like face proportions, a flat nose, a strongly projecting lower jaw, and a brain case with a small brain, usually less than 500 cubic centimeters, about 1/3 the size of a modern human brain, and long, strong arms with curved fingers adapted for climbing trees. They also had small canine teeth like all other early humans, and a body that stood on 2 legs and regularly walked upright. Their adaptations for living both in the trees and on the ground helped them survive for almost 1 million years as climate and environments changed. The year of discovery was 1974. Diet, habits, and skills. Afarensis had mainly a plant-based diet, including leaves, fruit, seeds, roots, nuts, and insects, and probably the occasional small vertebrates like lizards. Number 3. Homo habilis. Where lived? Eastern and Southern Africa. When lived? 1 to 2 million years ago. This species, one of the earliest members of the genus Homo, has a slightly larger brain and smaller face, and teeth like Australopithecus or older hominid species. But it still retains some ape-like features, including long arms and a jaw that extends out from the face more. Its name, which means handy man, was given in 1964 because this species was thought to represent the first maker of stone tools. Currently, the oldest stone tools are dated slightly older than the oldest evidence of the genus Homo. Year of discovery, 1960. Diet, habits, skills. Early Homo had smaller teeth, but their tooth enamel was still thick, and their jaws were still strong. indicating their teeth were still adapted to chewing some hard foods, possibly only seasonally when their preferred foods became less available. Dental studies suggest that they were capable of eating a broad range of foods, including some tougher foods like leaves, woody plants, and some animal tissue, but that they did not routinely consume or specialize in eating hard foods like brittle nuts or seeds, dried meat, or very hard tubers. Many scientists think early Homo, including Homo habilis, made and used the first stone tools found. Number 4, Homo erectus. Where lived? Northern, Eastern, and Southern Africa, Western Asia, Dmanisi, Republic of Georgia, East Asia, China, and Indonesia. When lived? Between 143,000 and 2 million years ago. Early African Homo erectus fossils, sometimes called Homo ergaster, are the oldest known early humans to have possessed modern human-like body proportions, with relatively long legs and shorter arms compared to the size of the torso. These features are considered adaptations to a life lived on the ground, indicating the loss of earlier tree climbing adaptations. The skull is expanded relative to the size of the face. The most complete fossil individual of this species is known as the Turcanaboi, a well-preserved skeleton, though minus almost all the hand and foot bones, dated around 1.6 million years ago. Microscopic study of the teeth indicates that he grew up in a growth rate similar to that of a great ape. There is fossil evidence that this species cared for old and weak individuals. The appearance of Homo erectus in the fossil record is often associated with the earliest hand axes, the first major innovation in stone tool technology. Diet, habits, and skills. The tall bodies and large brains of Homo erectus individuals required a lot of energy on a regular basis to function. They ate meat and other types of protein. Homo erectus also began the stone tool industry with the creation of large cutting tools like hand axes and cleavers. The earliest fires began with Homo erectus, used for cooking meat. Number 5, Homo neanderthalalis. Where lived? Europe and southwestern to Central Asia, about 40 to 400,000 years ago. Neanderthals are our closest extinct human relative. Some defining features of their skulls include the large middle part of the face, angled cheekbones, and a huge nose for humidifying and warming cold, dry air. Their bodies were shorter and stockier than ours, another adaptation to living in cold environments. But their brains were just as large as ours and often larger, proportional to their brawnier bodies. Neanderthals made and used a diverse set of sophisticated tools, controlled fire, lived in shelters, made and wore clothing, were skilled hunters of large animals, and also ate plant foods and occasionally made symbolic or ornamental objects. There is evidence that Neanderthals deliberately buried their dead and occasionally even marked their graves with offerings such as flowers. No other primates and no earlier human species have ever practiced this sophisticated and symbolic behavior. Year of Discovery, 1829. Diet, habits, and skills. Homo neanderthals hunted more and started eating more meat than plant foods. They used more tools for hunting and sewing. Neanderthals were the first early humans to wear clothing. They controlled fire, lived in shelters, and buried their dead. Number 6, Homo sapiens. Where lived? Evolved in Africa, now worldwide. When lived? About 200,000 years ago to present. The species that you and all other living human beings on this planet belong to is Homo sapiens. During a time of dramatic climate change 200,000 years ago, Homo sapiens evolved in Africa. Like other early humans that were living at this time, they gathered and hunted food and evolved behaviors that helped them respond to the challenges of survival in unstable environments. Modern humans can generally be characterized by the lighter build of their skeletons, compared to earlier humans. Modern humans have very large brains, which vary in size from population to population and between males and females, but the average size is approximately 1,300 cubic centimeters. Housing this big brain involved the reorganization of the skull into what is thought of as modern, a thin-walled, high-vaulted skull with a flat and near-vertical forehead. Modern human faces also show much less, if any, of the heavy brow ridges and prognathism of other early humans. Our jaws are also less heavily developed, with smaller teeth. Diet, habits, and skills. Homo sapiens began growing and producing food. They settled in one place and built towns and ran farms. With more food available, human population greatly increased. Their complex brains allowed them to be more social with each other.